Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Now first of all I want to apologise for not posting a video in such a long time. Over the last 5 or 6 months I've just been prioritising travel and growing the KDP business, and I haven't really found time to do the YouTube channel, but that is going to be changing in the future. I'm going to be having more updates on how the KDP account is going, as well as some KDP tips and tricks like before. And I promise this video is going to be worth the wait because we're going over all of our Q4 results, which are absolutely massive. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, or those who maybe don't remember what the challenge is, I've tried to take a brand new KDP account starting from $0 all the way up to $100,000 in 1 year. Now, for those of you who've been following the challenge before this, you know that sales are very solid coming into Q4, which means October, November, and December of 2023. The account was regularly selling about $2,500 to $2,900 per month. But of course, it's going to need a massive Q4 to get us to that $100,000 mark for 2023 alone. But Q4 sales get absolutely crazy, and in December sales are normally about 8 times what I sell in the off months, so we'll see just how close I can get. And as always, at the end of the video, I'll be showing you my total advertising cost for all of Q4, and most importantly, the total profit, so make sure you stick around for that. So the Q4 sales start with October, of course, but Q4 doesn't really get started until right at the end of October. I'd say sales start to pick up around October 15 or so, and generally I see about a 40 to 50% increase in sales in the month of October compared to the other off months. So in October, I sold $3,104. So as you can see from the last months, it's a nice little increase. Definitely happy with this number, but the numbers are about to get a lot crazier in November and December, and I go into a lot more detail in these months. So now we move on to November, which is where things really start to get fun. The Christmas sales are truly here at this point, and I would say your sales are normally about 4 to 5 times what you sell in the off months. Of course, depending a bit on what type of book you do. If you have more medium content style books or books that make good gifts, then your sales may go up a little bit more than this. Or if you have slightly more longer form books or even self-help books and stuff like that, your sales may be slightly less. But generally, this is what I've experienced over the last couple of years doing KDP. Now, I set myself the pretty ambitious target of doing $10,000 in royalties in this month, which is pretty impressive if you consider that this business is only 11 months in at this point. So see just how close I got. Unfortunately, I was about $750 short, so I had $9,251 in November just from 22 books, but I'm very, very happy with that number. So here we have the graph of the sales over November. So as you can see, at the start of November, it was doing about $150 to $200 a day, which is very nice. As we move towards the middle of November, see these sales really start moving up towards the sort of $300 to $400 range every single day. And of course, remember, this is a passive income, so you can be doing absolutely nothing while this is going on and still earn this money. And then as you get to the end of November, you can see that sales are going absolutely crazy. The graph is really trending in an upwards direction, and sales are reaching sort of 650, even pushing $700 a day. And obviously from this trend of the graph, you can tell what's going to happen in December, then it's going to go absolutely crazy. So here's a breakdown of my best-selling books over the month of November. As you can see from the top, of the $9,251 in royalties that I sold, $9,064 of these were in print royalties. So as is always the case for me, the vast majority of my sales are in paperback format because this is how my books tend to work out best for customers. However, I still got about $164 in ebook royalties plus $23 in Kemp royalties, which is always a nice little bonus to have at the end. Now onto the individual books. If you've been following the challenge, you'll know that I've had one book that performed incredibly well throughout the whole year. And surprise, surprise, this book is out on top again, selling $3,754 alone in just one single month. So this one book outsold all of my other 22 books in the previous month before this, just in 1 month on its own, which is crazy. Now, throughout all of November and December, this top-selling book had amazing BSRs or bestseller ranks in all of the marketplaces. It was constantly sat below 10k in the UK, but sat below 50k in the US, and it was really good in Canada and Australia. Plus, it got a very high royalty of about $3.80 per book, so it's really no surprise that this book is well out in front for me. Now, in an ideal world, of course, all KDP authors want all of their books to sell exactly the same amount of royalties every single month. So if anything happened to any of the books, then of course it wouldn't affect their income too much. But in reality, this is almost never the case. And the vast majority of KDP publishers earn a significant amount of their royalties and their profit from just 1 or 2 books. This is always going to happen. So don't worry if this is happening to you as well. However, that being said, I did have lots of other books that performed very, very well over November and the rest of Q4. With the second best-selling book selling over $1,300, and then a few other books here close to $1,000 at $954 and $807. And even if we go down to the ninth best-selling book, so sort of middle of the range books, still doing sort of $135, $140, keeps the account ticking over very nicely, and it all contributes towards the total sum of royalties. So now we move on to the big one and the one I'm sure you've been waiting for, and that is, of course, the December royalties. This is by far the best month of the year for any KDP author. I'd say historically, I sell about double what I do in November in December. So I set myself a target of selling $18,000 in December, and luckily this time absolutely smashed it, selling $22,260 in royalties and books in just 1 month. As you can see, I had 22 books live during the month of December, so that means that on average, each book sold over $1,000 in royalties, which is pretty crazy. And the best thing is, I normally like to take December off work because the work that you put in for December, if you release a book in the middle of December, by the time it's up, it's rarely going to have time to actually make any sales. So I think it's a perfect time to take a break. So the best thing is you earn all of this money in this month and you actually barely do any work, which is pretty crazy and not something you can do with many other jobs. So here is the graph of December. So as you can see, it picks up nicely from where November left off, with the smallest days of the month being about $600 at the start, which is crazy. And you can see as we move further into the month of December, the royalties start creeping over that $1,000 a day mark, and this peaks on December the 19th when I sold $1,467 in royalties in a single day, which is absolutely crazy. Now, of course, after about December the 22nd or 23rd, when people can no longer buy your books to give as presents for Christmas, the sales drop off a lot. This happens every single year. However, after Christmas, you always do get a couple of sales. You can see I'm selling about $150 to $200 a day, which is always a nice little bonus at the end of the month. So here is a breakdown of that 19th of December day, which is the best-selling day of the year. I sold $1,467. As you can see, my best-selling book sold over $500 in a single day, with the next selling book selling over $200 and many other books selling over $100 in a single day. And bear in mind, in the off months on this account before, I was often not even managing to sell $100 in a day. So the fact that the fourth or fifth best-selling book is selling over that in one day just shows how crazy December really is. Now, here is a breakdown of the best-selling books for this month. So as you can see, this best-selling book sold $7,670, absolutely destroying it again, once again making up about 33% of these sales. However, it did have a lot of other books which performed very well, with 4 books selling very close or over $2,000 in royalties, with the second best-selling book doing over $2,800 in royalties. As you can see here, there are loads and loads of other books selling sort of 4, 5, 6, 7, even $800, and this all added very, very nicely to get us to that $22,000 mark in the end. And even the worst selling books in the month of December, were very, very good, with all of these books pretty much doing over $100, with just a couple books at the bottom not doing so well. So overall, I'm very, very happy with how all of these books performed, and it's nice to see that every single book was contributing nicely towards that overall total. So here's a breakdown of how my books sold in all of the different marketplaces over December. So as is always the case, the UK was my best marketplace, selling $10,894, which makes up around about 48% of the total royalties. This is followed by the US, which is $5,930, still a very solid month, but significantly less than the UK, which is normally the case in my account. And then Canada and Australia also sold very well, coming at a combined royalties of over $5,000. And as you can see, I always sell some small amounts of royalties to the other countries that we sell books to on KDP. So this brings us to our total Q4 royalties for all of October, November, and December added together from my 22 books, which is $34,482. So this means that my books sold an average of about $1,500 each over the course of Q4, which is something that I'm very, very happy with. Now here we have the total graph of Q4 royalties. So as you can see, it has this crazy upward trend toward the end of December. Of course, peaking on that nice day on the 19th of December, where I sold $1,467. Now, as always with KDP, we can't just look at the royalties, but we also need to look at how much our advertising campaigns spent and how they performed. Just as with your royalties, your advertising campaigns will perform much better over Q4, and that's because you're far more likely to convert a sale when someone clicks on your ad. Now, this is great because it means we can be slightly more aggressive with our advertising campaigns and our ACOSs will still be lower. So let's have a look at how my ad campaigns performed over all of Q4. So including the 20% VAT that I have to pay as a British citizen, in the UK, I spent $7,265 on advertising at an ACOS of 22%. Now, this is an absolutely amazing ACOS. I'll be very, very happy with this throughout the rest of the year, but normally I average it around 27%, where 22% ACOS is incredibly profitable. Move on to the US, which has always been the hardest marketplace for me to advertise in. But once again, I had my best ACOS of the year at 26%. I had an ad spend of $3,798. So once again, absolutely fantastic. And as we move on to Canada and Australia, Those of you who've been following the challenge know that these are the marketplaces I like to advertise in the most, and these are the countries where it's easiest to have a lower ACOS. So in Canada, I spent 1,488 US dollars on advertising campaigns and had an amazing ACOS of just 16%. And in Australia, I spent 720 US dollars at an ACOS of 13%. So as is always the case, Canada and Australia are absolutely amazing to advertise in. You have really low ACOSs. And with these higher spends, it really allowed me to access way more sales that a lot of people wouldn't have if they're not advertising in these two countries. So now we move on to the most important metric to measure how successful Q4 really has been, and that is, of course, the total profit. So the royalties minus advertising spend for October, November, and December 2023 was $21,212 in profit. It's a number I'm very, very happy with, especially when you bear in mind that this business started less than 12 months ago at this point. So to go from zero or even like $4 in my first month, about $150 in my second month, to $21,212 in profit over 3 months in the very first year of this business is absolutely crazy, and it's something I'm very happy about. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and a comment, and there's going to be a video coming up soon where I go over all of my results from the challenge from 2023, showing everything that went well, everything that didn't go so well, and all the things I learned, as well as, of course, my royalties, ad spend, and profit. So stay tuned for that.